for example, the violet color and the marker, and that's it. After we do that, then we apply the color. Okay. Here's another example that I have here. This is a newer one that I started this year, and basically it's the same process as the other one I showed you, but different variations of using the marker and pen. Okay. Before, anytime we use a marker and pen, I always recommend my students to use the 3 base colors. You can either use purple, you can use red, or you can use blue. If it's really dark, I prefer a darker blue, like this one. You see the difference? Okay, but for me, preference, I prefer the violet. This is a basic shading concept. When we first shade something that's really dark, for example, let's say, here's an example here, here, or if you're looking at the actual picture itself, for example, these darker areas, that's where we want to add the marker and pen, and the color pencil. So, first concept is to always use your base color. In my case, I'm using violet. I know I put purple, sorry. I should have put violet. You always want to keep your color pencil even, meaning you don't want to do this. This will not work. You have to keep those lines together. At the same time, you always want to go in circles to blend the lines. Rotate your pencil to keep your point sharp. It's very important you do that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start getting lighter as I come down. To about there. This area here, from here to there, I'm gonna be using marker and pen. It's very important that you know where to stop with your marker and pen, because from there you have to fade it out with your color pencil. It will create a transition, because again, we don't want to see separation between marker and color pencil. For example, let's see if I have an example right here. One of the things we have to be careful is how to fade this out, because again, you want to make it transition from marker to color pencil. You don't want to see separation. You want to have a nice smooth transition like this here. Here's this transition, which is we cannot see that line. So again, this is something I'll be talking about. Basically how to fade it out. That's one of the keys. So again, it's very important that you know where you're going to start with a marker. For example, this is where I'm going to start with a marker from here to there. And from there, it's very important you fade that out to a light value, like so. Now, I'm gonna draw a line. This here, I'm gonna use marker and color pencil. Here, I'm gonna use marker, pen, and color pencil. So right here, this is where I'm gonna use the pen. That way you can see a difference. Now, if it's on your dark area, it's very important you add the value like so. You don't want to make the value light, because it won't work too well. So anytime you're going to use marker, make sure it's kind of like so. Alright, now hit the marker. The marker, you always want to keep it even. I'm going to go ahead and go across. Now it's very important you blow on it. Because again, when you add marker, it does make it slightly wet. So if you come with the color pencil, you will rip your paper. So I always tell my students, blow on it, make it dry, but don't smell it. You don't want to be smelling marker. Takes just a minute or so to dry. You can do it twice if you want to, but usually one time is good enough. Okay, this area here, I'm gonna come back with my violet. I'm gonna cover it again, keeping the lines together and going in circles. Rotating my pencil to keep my point sharp. Again, you want to do this in any area that's really dark. It makes a huge difference. It gives a huge impact on your drawing. Now, here's the key component. This is where I stop with my marker. We want to create that fade, that way we don't have that separation. So it's very important we do this. And this line here, I'm going to come back, I'm going to start applying pressure. When I apply pressure, I put the pressure up like this and I push it down, like so. When you create pressure on that line, it's going to make it slightly fade out, like this. Up and down, up and down. Once you can't see it anymore, then you're going to come back and make this fade out. Don't apply too much pressure here, because again, you're fading it out. If you apply too much pressure, it's going to be too dark. Just like that. Again, you cannot see the line. Okay. Again, I'm not done with it yet. So let's go ahead and go to this area here. This area here, I'm going to be applying pen. First thing first, add the color pencil over the marker. There's a difference here. Here, I'm not going to apply the pressure. I'm just going to add just a tad bit more value here with my color pencil, and slightly get lighter as I come down. I'm going to come back and use my pen. I recommend get a piece of scratch paper. I'm going to go ahead and use this piece of scratch paper and use a pen, because you want to release some of the ink out. Once you release the ink, I also recommend, since you're using the pen, you want to create sort of a cushion. So I recommend adding another pencil over, another piece of paper underneath. It makes a huge difference. Now, I'm going to come back. Same concept as this with the pen, never going like that. It will not work. You gotta keep those lines together like this. It's very important. And also at the same time going in circles. Keep the lines together. As I saying that, I'm gonna come back to the top, keeping the lines together. Going back and forth as I do that. Paper-made pens usually work the best, in my opinion, but there are several pens you can use. Just try not to use pens like gel pens. They release too much ink and it doesn't work. Now this is where I stopped. Here's the key. From here, you're going to slightly get lighter, applying less pressure. In this area here, I'm just going like this. Basically applying less pressure to the pen. If I apply more pressure to the pen, it will look like this. You can even hear the sound on your paper. So we want a lighter value here when we get to this point. Now you don't want to go all the way down, just here. Back and forth and circles. Circles will always be the key. Now, to finish this off, we need to go back with the color pencil. But again, keep in mind, ink is wet, so you have to just let it dry for a bit. Like so, and then coming back with your color pencil, going in circles and so forth. about pen, you have to come back. You have to add a little bit more. Especially if you're going to work in larger areas. And you can see the difference. Glossy side and a flat side. Okay. Now after you do this, then you can start adding color. For example, let's say you want to add brown, you want to add maybe orange. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and add an orange, and I'm going to add some brown to it. First thing, I'm going to come with my orange color. I'm going to just do a little bit here, and then I'm going to do the whole thing. Come from the top. It's very important you keep your lines together. Back here, adding the color. Over there. And then I'm going to add brown to change the effect. Another thing I forgot to mention, when you use color pencils, never go strong first, because when you go strong and you add another color to it, it doesn't blend too well. So I always recommend go light, add your other color over it, also going light, and repeating the process a few times. The more you repeat the process, the darker it becomes. Later, if you want to apply pressure, go ahead and do so. But you never want to start strong. When you do that, you can also use a cordless blender. There's no color here, it's just a blending tool. You go over the color pencil to blend it. Like that. Notice how it's changed. Go over here. So forth. Now the other thing also, say the area is dark, then you can come back with your black color pencil, add it, not the whole thing, just a little bit. Don't add it everywhere. You have to be careful with using black, because technically black is not a color, as white. Black is a shade and white is a tint. You never want to add black first. You add it later over the color. So I added black here. I'm going to come back with my blender and just blend it out. Push the dark into the color. Like that. There's how you do your fade and adding color using marker and pen. Here it will be a little different. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let you decide and for you to experiment, see what it changes. Also, I recommend, instead of using the violet, try using red as a base color and try using blue as a base color and see for yourself the reaction. But always be important, keep the lines together. Now, once again, I recommend to use this book. It's going to help you. You can Google it. You can even find some tips in the internet and basically how to use color in a sense. Now, let's go ahead and apply what we learned into our character development. Let's go ahead and put this away. First thing first, it's always important to research